Hello, this is Richard Anthony Marca, and this is for the fifth Grissom video lecture for EGR425. As you can see, like the last video, this is going to be more on the Bluetooth low energy stuff. So as you can see, for the broadcast name, this is very similar to the one from the last video where it has the service unique user ID in the characteristic one, and the broadcast name for my M5 Core 2. Most of the stuff is the same. There's some few differences, like the draw screen text with background. And we got two of them here where it has initializing the Bluetooth low energy and broadcasting as a Bluetooth low energy server. Here's a nice big old loop, whereas if the device is connected, we increase the timer. So we update the characteristics value and notify any clients that are listening to our Bluetooth device. Then we have this read the characteristics value as a string, which could be written from a client, and also are able to read the characteristics value as an integer, which can also be read from a client. And lastly, we are able to read the characteristics value as a byte, which can be written from a client as well. All three of those can be written from a client. While the first one can only be read by a client and notify any clients listening. Else, if it's been previously connected, as in this is something connected before, it disconnects and resets the M5 device to reinitialize Bluetooth low energy. And this is all for colors in the background to make it look nicer. This is to broadcast the server with read, write, notify, and indicate. And this is what it's going to broadcast. Basic hello world. For the next file, it is almost a duplicate of the last one, but this one includes Bluetooth low energy utilities, like there. So most of this stuff is the same. We have the usual begin for the setup for the M5. This is all stuff that was already talked about. Here is the same iPhone connection parameter for advertising. And this time we have the minimum preferred, so not to advertise here. And here we have the loop, which is almost the same with the update, the characteristics values, and reading the value as a string and a byte. Well, last time, as you can see, when we go to there, we were able to read as an integer, but we don't need to do that anymore. And here is the most updated one, the third file, which is the client.cpp, which talks about callbacks for the data, the BLE server callback method. So when you connect, it says device is connected, and when you disconnect, it says device is disconnected. And this is commented out is for when you lose connection and attempting to reconnect. And here are the stuff for creating the client to connect to the server, connecting to the remote server. If it's not able to connect, it says failed to connect to server. If it does connect, it says connect to the server, and it gives out which server it is. We obtain a reference to the service we are after in the remote BLE server. So if we don't find our service UUID, it tells us, or if we found it and it gives us back the UUID that we are searching for. And next is able to obtain a reference to the characteristic in the service, where we have, if it can't be found, we will post the failed to find error. Or if we find it, we say it's found. And this method reads the value of the characteristic. And this last method checks if the characteristic can notify clients of change and register to listen, if so. And here are my advertised device callbacks. So this is if the Bluetooth low energy advertised device can be found or not. It gives back the address, the service UUID, and shows that it has our service. And then we have found the device. Let's see if it contains the service we are looking for. And this is more of that stuff. It shows if it's the device that's connected. And here's some more setup code to run. This is to retrieve a scanner and set a callback to be informed when we have detected a new device. And here's the loop function, which is drastically different from the other ones, where if it does connect, we send out we are connected to the BLE server and gives us back which server we're connected to, or we have failed to connect to the server and which server we failed to connect to. And with this is the time since boot, setting new characteristic values to whatever the new value is, and more draw screen stuff, or else it's discontinued rescanning for server. So this is just an example to start this scan after a disconnect. We're most likely going to have a better way to do this later, but this is what we have for now. And then the rest is just background color stuff to write the text on top of. The other main part of this video lecture, though, is not just the stuff for the M5 Core 2, but also stuff for Flutter, which we're going to have in this project. So as you can see, if I go here, this isn't main.c++ file, it's a main Dart file from all the way back to mobile app. I haven't implemented these imports yet, but once I do, you're going to see the run app and stateful widgets. Brings back memories. And we have the Bluetooth variables and the regular variables. So a lot of states, stateful widget, stateless widgets. Yeah. The Flutter Blue for Bluetooth instances. Scan result, the Bluetooth device, the target device, and the Bluetooth characteristic for the target characteristic. And here are other variables like the BLE status is set to no connection. The last red is set to not applicable. Target device found is false, is connected to target false. And then Bluetooth network connects and text connect. These are just the starting variables. They would get updated later. The set state to BLE status once we start the scan. As you can see, unlike the other files where we just have the classes, this method has a little underscore before it, which means that this can only be used in this Dart file and not in the other ones. So then set state could be activated in other ones, the other files as well that are part of this. We got the check permissions, connect to device, disconnect from device. This is a very, very long file, so I'll skip over some of the stuff. And here is to build the background of the Flutter app, which will be in the Android Studio Android IDE when it runs. And this widget build is for basically the scaffold and container. So it's what the actual background is going to be. This area here is what's going to control what is shown on the actual phone screen of the emulator. Then here we got the Gradle file, which is very sensitive and I do not want to touch because I've ruined them before. This YAML file, not only is it, like everything else, case sensitive, it's also space sensitive. So just removing the space here, I'm not going to do it, but removing the space here will drastically change what this does versus not having it. I found that out the hard way. This is how you add assets like images. If you want to add an image, you have to put it here by uncommenting these. And unlike the other files where you comment with the slashes, since this is a YAML file, it's with the pound sign. And these are for fonts if you want to add fonts. And these are like the dependencies. So instead of having it's kind of like the platform io.ini. It's like this file, but for Flutter. Then last, you got the Android manifest XML. And that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching.